So at the front, we have Afik leading the grid, Almater's Guy in the Aston Martin. We've got a nice diversity of cars, especially up here at the front. Gaggle of McLarens down around 20th. Shungle, an AMG boy, in second. Then we've got Kelmanas. I believe the orange number, by the way, before anyone asks, I believe is how many mandatory pit stops they have left until the end of the race. So that when that number disappears, we will know that people have had their pit stops. If we look right down the order, kind of hard to see where the GT4s start, and I absolutely bang it straight off. Andrews so far, down in about 37th, is so far the first of the GT4s, also in an Aston Martin, so Aston Martin dominating quite hard here. Thomas and Brenning in the Porsches. So we're going to start up in the traditional 5th place. Have a little bit of time till we're going. Here we go. We are starting off. We have a car who has forgotten to move, and it is Venner in 5th place. So let's just hop up to Worrell. We are seeing Worrell taking the start, which is nice to see. Worrell is, for those who don't know, the big boss here, the guy who set all this up. So we're very thankful to him. Green light, and it's go, go, go. We have a Lamborghini there at the back making a big move onto the curb as we're starting off. A nudge onto the Ferrari, but not too much chaos, at least in the front of the field right now as we're going. Afik has got a nice lead out at first. So a few cars. A touch on the Ferrari spins him off there. A little awkward. Him coming over the front of the Mercedes that is going to keep pulling off. If we head back down to see how the GT4 is doing, there's a couple of cars off, but overall we've got a bit of a stable situation. Andrews, it looks like, is still, as far as we can see, at the front of the GT4 field, leading this big pack of cars down. And we're going to have a few GT3s now, because there will be a few who have fallen off. Looking for the Porsches behind him. There is actually that McLaren alongside him is one of the GT4 McLaren, so that has just got past him, and there's a knock there as well. It looks like, I think, Jesset and the Mercedes knocking someone. Oh, and we got a spinner onto the track as well, absolutely taking someone out. Not the greatest here, but we have the McLaren starting to pull away now. Actually, Andrews has fallen behind both of the Porsches now, it looks like. We have Brenning just coming down side him a little bit off the track there, who is now up to 4th in this field, if this is correct. Looking back up at the front, how's it going? Afik is still out in the lead of the race. He's had an absolutely clear run so far. And the front of the field has split out quite nicely with our Lord-in-Chief Worrell in 3rd. In the car number 15, we've got a pretty stable spread up here at the top. Albu, I'm sure that's not how you pronounce that A, but I'm going to go with Albu because I do not know better. Albu is the Lamborghini who we saw making an awesome step up at the start, pushing onto the curb to try and get past people, and he is the one of the people out of this front crowd who looks like he might be making a move. Only half a second behind Werner. So we are going to have to keep our eye on here as we see... Oh my god, was that Worrell? That was Worrell. Worrell has spun. He spun coming out of Cops, and now is falling heavily down the order. You see he's down in probably 15th or 16th. He's just dropped down to 16th now. Looking back at the beginning of the GT4s, Roland is now the first GT4 as far as we can see, and it looks like he's pulled quite a bit of a lead out of the rest. Brenning on the 1.2, but Brenning is an incredibly fast driver, so I am entirely of the belief that he can possibly make it up. And behind him, that looks like Kelmanas. Kelmanas, as I said, an incredibly fast driver, but he can be really inconsistent. And it looks like he has had that same problem here, falling down into the back with the GT4s. We can see quite a few GT3s down here, people who've had their issues. Nobody has done anything crazy with the pit stops. No one's gone for some sort of ridiculous early stop. Or have they? No, that looks more like a give up than a pit stop, unfortunately. Got quite a tight gaggle around here. This is going to be an awkward part of the racetrack for quite a while, because we can see this is where the GT3s that have fallen back behind the GT4s are. So there's going to be a lot of close gaps here as we watch GT3s just pushing past the GT4s. You see the difference in speed there from the Bentley to that McLaren. There's not a slow McLaren even, as that is Roland's McLaren there. So that is the leader of the GT4s just getting pushed around by the big boy Bentley. Going a little bit buggy as we go past the pit lane, but we do have a move here as Bloomfield in the Lexus are getting passed by Kuthan in the Ferrari. A really smooth move down into Copse. It's so hard. It's so hard after so many years of watching Formula 1 to remember that the first corner on this track right now is Copse. It's not Abbey as it should be, it's Copse. A little bit further down we have Webb in the Lexus here, followed by Shungle. Shungle giving him some real pressure. Coming out down towards Stowe, leaning out. This can be a nice place to make a move, but he's not got the brakes on the Lexus there. Following the GTR of Lysen. I'm sure Lysen is also not how to say that. If being a poor Englishman, if any of these names have any non-standard letters, I'm entirely lost. So up at the front, Venner, it looks like, is in the closest contact again with Albu, who is looking like he's desperately trying to make a move. Have a nice gaggle of GT4s around here. This is where most of the action is going on. And it looks like after this sort of gaggle and this sort of area, a little bit back here where we can see a little bit of action going on here, as Daly in the Aston Martin is trying to push his way through the field, putting some pressure onto the Ferrari of Prandana. But we can see on the map, the track map in the right there, not only that Afik and Shungle are miles ahead of everyone else, absolutely out there, but that you can see a pretty consistent clumping around where we're looking now. And then as you get further back, it sort of spreads out as cars are getting let past the GT4s one at a time, as it were. Going to Mag and Beckett's, a lot of grass taken there by Webb. Yeah, so you can see right there on the run up towards Maddox and Beckett's, you can see it best where those GT3s there that have got past the GT4s are really spread out because they've each had to wait sort of corner by corner to pass the slower cars. Steve Worrell is also down here. Obviously a very fast driver, trying to make his way up through the field now. Made a big oopsie there. You see all these cars a little bit wiggly there into what should be the first corner at Abbey. Down into the loop. And we have not seen them for a while, so let's head down towards the GT4s and see what's happening with our boys down here. Is Roland still the leader of the GT4s? He is. Still the last few GT3s picking their way past him. There are actually a few GT4s just before him who must have had some big incidents because they are actually behind him. But this is the leader of our GT4 packs, and that, I believe, is Brenning in his Porsche, who is just a tiny amount behind. So the fight for the lead of GT4 is not going badly, and you can see, as that looks like another GT3 having a bit of an off there, you can see, I can see from the Deltas that their pace has leaped as they have been unleashed. Now they do not have GT4s passing them every lap, all the time, every corner. They're starting to get unleashed a little bit in terms of pace. The other thing we're going to start needing to look for soon, as we hop back to Afiki, is how close they are to lapping the back markers. I believe in a sort of regular GT3, GT4 race, it's normally closing in on 10 laps. Thank you, Jab. I will have a look at them at some point. Not during the race, I hope you understand, but I will definitely look after this race. Hopefully I can get better for the next races. Normally I believe it's sort of like 8-9 laps, but with some slower GT4s here and some GT4s who've made some mistakes, we're definitely going to see the front runners start to overlap a little bit quicker than we used to. Falling back a bit, Albu is charging up the field. He has passed Watt, and not just has he passed Wyatt, but he is now 5 seconds down the road, which is pretty impressive. Seems like Wyatt must have made a mistake there for that to be true. Catching up on Venner, that'll be an exciting one to see. Blumfield, actually no, Kuthen. I think Kuthen just got past. Kuthen has got past Blumfield. Says he's really close to Wyatt, but he is not. No, that was just the things taking a little bit of time to update there. Wyatt has actually fallen behind Blumfield. So he's seems to be having a bit of a nightmare recently. You can see Shingle and Webb coming in here. Webb here, really just trying to push on this Nissan. He was ahead at the... he's ahead, but only just. And this Nissan, really feisty looking. Trying to go around the outside down at Stowe. Not really going to work. Tiny bit of a nudge there. Really nice battle though. Gets the inside line, but... Ooh. This is nice. Much later braking there from Webb, and Webb also has the inside line. Clattering over the curb goes that Porsche, which means we should hop back because, whoops. Shungle may be getting overtaken. Is that Murphy? Says it's Stevenson, but Stevenson is apparently this Porsche. So that is a back marker Nissan by the looks of it. Unfortunately. Sen has fallen back a little bit now. He's going to be able to push up again. Thank you for the follow, Killers178. We have Alfiq now, and some of these front runners are passing the GT4s here. Do not believe these are quite the front runners of GT4. Or no, these are the right back markers, aren't they? Yeah. We're gonna have a few of them. One of them going very wide there, giving Albu a really nice run through. So here we have Diggs, who is in an interesting position because he is at the start of a bit of a train back here. We have a few GTE cars, although it looks like a lot of these are on different laps, so it's kind of hard to keep up with exactly where everyone is. These three are definitely on the same lap. Grassman there, very fast driver, just ahead of Bludyshev. So these guys are all about in the same area, which is nice to see. Beautiful wide shot there. Brenning is now in the lead of GT4. Shout out to Brenning. He's taken that position off of Andrews and is now starting to stretch his legs a little bit. And now that, yeah, it definitely seems like he's been unleashed now that the GT4s are past him, and a lot of the GT4s have the GT3s are past him. The GT4s have got all sorts of together. Andrews is still keeping up behind Brenning pretty well. And Ware isn't far behind either. See him just down here in his red Merc. It's an excellent camera angle. Boontig's here. Is that going for a move on... No, defending from Carlson there. Carlson in the Anna Merc coming through into the infield section. And I believe this is the black and gold Porsche that Killers is talking about in one of his messages. So regarding the huge crash going to Stowe on turn 1, I was on the inside in black and gold Porsche, who was far away, suddenly started getting very close to me. I lifted off as not to hit him and got lift off oversteer. I tried to correct it, but ended up hitting him and causing the pile-up. Honestly, it was a racing incident, but I'm sorry for ruining any of your races. Ah, dude, that's true. Incidents happen all the time. All the time in lap 1. Corner 1. It's a hectic time. It's gonna happen sometimes. As here we see Goldenitz and Grassman going for one. Coming down to Stowe, which is where a lot of people have been looking to make moves, but very few people have been pulling it off. We might get to see the rundown into Vale, which is much more common. But it looks like Grassman is a little bit far behind to be making any sorts of move. The pit window is now open, so that's going to be fascinating to see when we see some people pitting. We have Matthew Jones coming into the pit, looking to pit early in the GT3 field. Perhaps make up some places through that. Kelmanis, who I can't click on, but it says he's in the pits, which suggests to me that he has had instant rage quit. Here we go. Pradana, this is the other car who is in game and is in the pits. Boonatic's coming into the pits as well, so a lot of people now trying to dive into the pits early. It's going to be interesting to see when some of our front runners do that. We still have Afik in the lead, followed by Shungle, Venner, Albu, Kuthan, Blumfield and Wyatt. Webb pushing up into 8th place. And actually getting right onto the back of Wyatt, it looks like. No. I need to be careful. When people are going past the pits, it says they're relative to the person they're going past, who is the person in the pits. We have Wyatt here, though, coming up along with Bloomfield behind this Alpine GT4 car. The closest battle right at the front is definitely Bloomfield and Wyatt here. They come down into Vale. Very close on the back once again, but not going to be able to make too much of a move. Let's maybe look down at some of the GT4s and see if some of the GT4s have hit. That could be cool. Yeah, that's confusing. Both Shungles are in this race. Leonard Shungle has pitted, but Jungle Superior has not. Castrop is in the pit. He's one of the GT4s. Where we got Roland is apparently not in this race anymore. Where's Brenning? Brenning has pit, so the leader of the GT4s has pit. Here we go. This is going to be quite fun. We have the leader of the GT4s pitting. So we are going to have to check where he comes out on in terms of Andrews and Ware, who are going around for at least one more. They're down in 26th now. I can head up and check with some of the front guys as well. Brenning's still in pit, so he could actually be refueling, which could be a mistake. It's very hard. I don't really get much info on how people are pitting, and I don't really know the times. You're going to see a lot of these as well. You can see under there for Haller, you can see a stop-go 30 seconds. I'm not sure if there are stewards, live stewarding, who may consider clearing that, but it looks like that is a driving in the speeding in the pit lane penalty. Andrews is up here on the back of a McLaren. I think that's Stevenson in the GT3 who's just passed him. How far up behind is Ware? Not very far behind. These two getting pretty close now. If we look from his onboard, you can see that green car right in front of him is the current leader of GT4. Yeah, speeding in the pit lane can be a bit strict. Who's that? That's an Aston Martin passing him. Oh no, is that... He tried to go on a move on Andrews there while I was reading chat, but sort of outbraked himself a bit, it looks like. Coming around the front, none of these guys have decided to pit either, so check up at the front. Athik, Shungle, Venner, Albu, Kuthan, Bloomfield. So we do have Wyatt has pitted from near the front, so we can see if he manages to jump up some. But coming back towards this, Brenning is down in 31st, is the first of the GT4s to have pit. And if we move out to the front, we can see that none of the drivers from 1st to 17th have pit. Wyatt and Little Shungun, I know that's not his name, but now that I've realised he has an L and he is the slower driver of the two, he's definitely Little Shungle. I'm sorry, Little Shungle. The worst thing about the speed, the pit limiters for me, is that there's no like UI to show you them, so you have to rely on the cars having a good show for them, which doesn't always happen. Interesting thing now as well, you can see that people like Ware are actually creeping up the order. You can actually see Ware in 22nd there as he gets dived by this Nissan, and that is because he has not pit, but a lot of the GT3s have pit from the sort of midfield or the back markers of the GT3s and have ended up having to take the GT4s again, which is going to be slowing people down, which means that he's not actually getting as much out of this, out of staying out longer here, compared perhaps to Brenning, who we should take a look at to see how he is doing right now. He's got a lot of cars around him himself, but he's setting a decent lap time, it seems like. Down in 31st, but the only people in front of him who haven't pit... Actually, Andrews pit and has come out in front of Brenning, but he's got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So Andrews set himself up really well there with must say, a better strategy, perhaps a more efficient pit stop than Brenning. I have a feeling Brenning left a bit too much for the pits, perhaps refueling more than he needed to, or perhaps getting his brakes changed, which is something that I've had in Competizione. And Andrews got out ahead of him, but has ruined it through getting the speeding penalty. Martin's now pitting. This is going to be a good indication of how badly Brenning's strategy has gone, if it has, because Andrews was right up there behind him, and so it's quite a close case. But Martin's was a good amount slower than him at the time. So we can look onto the little track map, or we can just follow Brenning's round rather than following the pit stop. Brenning is coming up on the last line, last straight. Martins is still in the pit. I was in the wrong car for some reason. But coming across the pit line, it looks like Martins, whose car H8, is still in the pit. So Brenning should have got out ahead of him. Yep, just coming out. But they're still not too far behind him, so this is going to be really close with Ware now, in terms of when he decides to come in, whether he can come out in front of Brenning. He has a couple of GT3s still coming up behind him, who will slow him down. Got a little bit to make his first pit stop here. I would love to see him make his first pit stop really soon, because see, Shungle from second place is going into the pits. A couple of the people further up the front have pitted. Is he doing it? He looks like he's holding over to the right a little bit, and he is. He is going in. So Ware in car number 616 has entered the pits. I'm going to hop back now to Brenning as Andrews has taken his pit stop. So the only two cars ahead of him are Sachs and Ware. It's quite a long way. It's going to be quite a long way for him to get the overtake. Sachs is just coming up to the line now. So Sachs has just taken the provisional lead of GT4. While Brenning getting blue flags down the straight. This is not the time for getting blue flagged. But he doesn't lose too much time to that Porsche at least. 616 is still in the pits, but he has just started moving. He's quite far down the pits, so he has a little run to go. But oh, he's going to be pit limited for quite a while. This could be close. 616, I believe, should be just getting off the pit limiter now. So he's starting to speed up. And the 616 car is just ahead of him now. Unfortunately. So Brenning has had a terrible time in the pit stops and has lost multiple places due to that. But now heading back up to the top, we can see a few more people right at the front have gone. Alfik, who is in the lead. Afik, who is in the lead. Not Alfik, Afik. Still... oh, just pitting as I go back to him. Okay. So, Venner and Shungle. Venner and Shungle, these were the people who were in second place. Where is Venner right now? This looks like Afik might be losing the lead. This looks like Afik might be losing the lead. Unless a lot of the GT4s we've seen have been taking long stops. And Afik is going to be able to make it quicker. He hasn't even started moving yet. Oh, there we go. He's just started moving. So it looks like he will be safe. He definitely will be safe. There we go. See, that is much more like the pit stop length I was thinking people would be taking. I think he's definitely got it right there. Hasn't put in any extra fuel. He fueled himself right up big from the beginning. Hasn't changed his brakes. Hasn't had any big repairs to do. And has just been able to get in and out of the pits incredibly fast. And back into the lead. Which means that at the end of this, I believe, as long as everything goes smooth sailing from here, Afik will have led every single lap of this race. So a huge shout out to Afik here. Interestingly, now we can see that Grassman and Venner are both in the pits. They should be falling down the order a bit as they come across timing lines. They're sort of stuck awkwardly in a timing line, which means that they are seeming further up than they are. But coming out of the pits now should mean that everybody in this race have taken their pits. We're seeing the last couple of cars to exit now. And who has made good in those stops? Wyatt has managed to keep his 6th as the first person to pit, so his early pitting strategy has not gone as badly as it seems that Brenning's did. Shungle, it lost quite a lot there. Actually, little Shungle gained a hell of a lot. This is the Porsche driver Shungle, Leonard, who has gained a huge amount. He definitely was not up this close. He was in the lower regions of the top 10 at most. And then Jonathan Shungle, fighting with Venner for 2nd place now, had it before, but is now having to do all of the work again in order to make this happen. I'm going to quickly grab myself a drink. I managed to finish the drink I had just as qualifying was ending, so cheers, boys. I actually do have cans still here, don't I? So we come back and Shungle has made it. Perfect time to go and get a drink. And that is, of course, a joke. Shungle, though, very fast. 15 seconds behind Afik. So unless there is some mistake up at the top here, doesn't like it's going to be happening. And it actually looks like Albu's made it past as well. How has this happened? Venner must have made a big mistake there. Holding up to the back of Albu, does he actually have the pace in this to challenge? He's definitely challenging, putting a little bit of pressure on there coming in, and a huge wide from Albu. But he manages to stay just in front going into the first corner of the GP layout. Webber spun. Oh, poor boy. Were you not to be in this? Were you not meant to be in this, Terry? I thought you were meant to be in this. Oh boy, it's been great. I've had a few good ones as well, though. I've had a few good ones as well, to be fair. One of my favourite things is when you hop your view onto someone and you get a move straight away, as we see Graylish going up the side there of... Was that an Aston Martin? No, that was a McLaren, so that was Stevenson that he seems to have fallen behind. And we have an orange McLaren off the road. That's probably Diggs, is it not? No, it's not. Diggs is well further up. Out for a meal tonight. God bless. I hope you enjoy that. This has been... watching this race has been an enjoyable yet hectic mess. None of these spectating tools are quite built for multi-group racing, as you can expect. So following both half the fields has been a stress. Talking about both half of the fields, down here, what do we have? Where is still ahead of Brenning? We're watching Andrews right now. Andrews, who had terrible pit stop luck that's really thrown him down the order. Brenning has a whole 9 seconds to make up in the next 10 minutes. Which, seeing as these are 2-minute laps, means he's got about 6 laps left to go. So he's going to need to be over a second of a lap quicker to catch Rare, which doesn't seem to be a thing but he's also very far ahead of Martin. So the GT4 field, it seems, has spread now quite a bit, and we're not going to see too much action past here. We had some great action early. Yes, I will definitely give some of this help. I don't know how much multi-class racing we're going to do. So how much have you watched of this, Terry? Have you just got back from your meal, or are you... Yeah, it's 9, so you must have just got back from your meal. Afik over here has had an absolute Hamilton of a drive, say the least. He has led every single lap, pitted in from the lead, and came out in the lead. Absolutely magnificent play. Albu has been making absolute charge up the order. I'm very sad that we will not be seeing Albu. Thank you, Mike270. Very sad that we'll not be seeing Albu in the top split for the first season, but I am absolutely sure that he will be in the top split second season, and probably only the second season because he will likely get banned. In his router engineering Lamborghini right now, holding off Fenner pretty consistently. Webb down here, still having this little sort of fight area that's going on here. These two have been at it the whole race, Lysen and Webb. Webb was following Lysen for a long time, has now just got ahead. Well, he got ahead a while ago, but he's only just ahead is what I mean. Diggs in the McLaren right behind him, with our Lord and Saviour Worrell, who was up in something like 4th or 5th at the start of this race and spun coming out the first corner on the first race. Yeah, man, your boy's Webb's been consistent. He's been having a great fight here with Lysen. It's been a really fun one to watch. Really close into here. So we're actually getting this. These guys are sort of concertining it up in an interesting way. I wasn't expecting to see this late. That we have some real battles for position going on. Another one who is up a lot higher than I think we often see. Oh, as we just have a mistake there from Lysen, trying to catch down on Webb, but Webb has also been slightly taken off in this, going a bit wide. Diggs is going to have a bit of a run here coming through in the McLaren. Better line through there, but Webb was parked on the apex, so he couldn't do anything about it. And it looks like Lysen has managed to jump himself back on the track and not lost too much. He's just behind the other guys here as they come down the straight towards Brooklands, diving out their Diggs to try and get past Webb, but not quite going to make it. Worrell now taking advantage of the fact that Diggs has gone a bit offline, but not quite managing to get anything out of that either. Oh, we've got some overspeed here coming from Diggs though. Comes out the slipstream and sort of loses it all. I think he might have got a bit close to Webb and spooked himself slightly, because now he seems to be getting overspeeded himself by Worrell, who is coming up around to the outside towards Maggots. Not going to try and make a move into there though, which is sane. It's the only sane thing to do. Diggs being a little bit sloppy through. Oh, Webber, and he has that big kink there. 919 is out on the side of the track, so it looks like we've had a little spinner there, but he's getting back on. And Worrell comes to the inside, big dive on there, fantastic move. Getting onto Diggs. Diggs now a little bit offline, might come under pressure from Lysen as well as he goes off-road. Oh, better break in there, but couldn't make anything of it as they both passed that GT4 McLaren. Up further on now, we have Worrell putting pressure onto Webb. Coming out just to put his nose out there, but not making anything of it. Oof. Really close there going into the infield section. Putting his nose in at the loop. And he might get a better run out of here. That looks a lot more stable for him than for Webb. And he has piled it down the inside. Worrell finally making this run back that I was expecting we'd see him made earlier. In his lovely ACCSS looking livery. Still very close, these four, even as the order is completely different from what we saw when we started watching this pack. Fantastic stuff, and now Worrell is going to get to have a little bit of a run out. And I will go back to saying one of the things I was saying earlier, which is this man. This man, in his little Porsche, Leonard Schungel, the lesser Schungel, the little Schungel, he had a fantastic pit phase where he really jumped. He made a lot off of the earlier GTs who didn't have such a good pit. Had the right strategy, as did his brother, and has made a really big run up. Venner, unfortunately, falling down the field after his pit stops. He was up in second after the pit stops, doing really well. Still clinging on to Albu, is he? Or Albu has made a mistake. Albu has made a mistake coming out of the start of the GP circuit and is now behind again. As we see backmarker McLaren going wildly off the road around the back. We get an Audi spinning as well, another backmarker. Just not getting in the way, thankfully. Have a check down in the GT4s again. I don't expect to have seen too much going on. We have Ware, who is still in the GT lead. Another driver who made incredible use out of the pit stops. Brenning was leading from Andrews after the pit stops, but Andrew ended up getting a penalty after coming out ahead, and Ware took the lead from that after a great pit stop. Yes, after he got knocked a few times, did he? Looking back down at this area. Yes, Venner getting knocked at turn 1. Yes, I do remember. You can see there a pink McLaren getting a bit wobbly over there. I think that's the other pink McLaren, though. I don't think they're quite coming on the back of Venner here. Wyatt here, right behind Kuthan as well. So we've actually got a nice sort of mix up here where it looks like Kuthan is now leading a bit of a train. We have Wyatt, that backmarker Ferrari in the red. Then Worrell, who has left behind a few of the others. Webb still holding on for dear life. Diggs and Lysern a little bit further behind the road. Lysern, it looks like he's fallen back quite a lot there. But Worrell is about to come up into this fight with Wyatt. Ferrari goes off the road a little bit. Ooh, getting slowed down a bit there, Wyatt and Kuthan, as they're fighting here. And it looks like the Ferrari Kuthan not only getting taken by Wyatt in that corner, but then losing a place to Worrell. As he's making a nice charge back up the field. Wyatt is his next target in the McLaren. Got the front cars going past the pit lane right now, so I can't really tell how far they are apart. It's like Albu is fallen a little bit behind from Venner. After the mistake he made, he's not been able to catch up ground on them, unfortunately. So it looks like Venner might be able to keep second, as there is not a huge amount to go in this. Worrell looking to pull a little bit of a last lap Lando. Yeah, very sad to see Afik getting knocked out. That sucks. That super sucks. Schungel now claiming the lead. Coming up there behind Bunatix, I believe, in the full black Mercedes. I think after the position he was in, we can still know in our heart that Afik definitely is driver of the day in this one. But, you know, it happens in real racing. You can just get a random mechanical failure right at the end, and he's essentially had that just unluckiness. As Worrell is setting himself up really nicely here for a bit of a last lap Lando on Wyatt. I'm pretty sure as Shungle crosses the line, Shungle is 95. Yep, he has just entered the final lap. As a GT4 McLaren is passed here. Coming in here, this is a place that Worrell seems to really like. He gets really good runs out of here every time. Comes in much tighter than everyone else. And now he's coming up to the start of his own last lap. A nice tight run in. Again, looking a lot nicer than Wyatt for a lot of these corners. Staying tight there, although I'm not actually sure whether that's the best line. I've been talking to people about this. Does seem to get a bit of a better lunge out of there than Wyatt, and he's going to try and get down on the inside. And you could just see him getting the drag alongside. Coming through the first corner towards Magnus and Beckett's, and he has made it up to 5th. This is going to be as high as he can get if he can keep this, but that is a good job coming down from Worrell. Still down from his qualifying position, mind you. Still spun it on turn 2. But he has redeemed himself by coming out here. So as we go on to the last lap, sadness for Afik, who never managed to get through. Shoutouts to Shungle, who played a really good race. Actually lost out in the pit phase, but managed to pull back. Shoutouts as well. My watching my broadcast thing actually has Shungle and Afik both in first place. So broadcast tool is not giving up. We have Venner in second. Great to see him get a good result after his torrid time before. Albu made a really nice charge up the field. He was a good fun one to watch here, not starting too far up. Leonard Shungle, incredibly impressive race, really good in the pit stops. Gave him a huge leg up. Worrell binned his race at the beginning and then sort of sat around the sort of top 10 for quite a while. But 5 overtakes in the last 5 laps or something. Really nice end to the race by Worrell. Wyatt, he was a little bit higher up at some points, but he made a few mistakes and got knocked back. But since then, he's managed to hold on to being consistent from before the pit stops and keeping up. Is number 6 with Webb doing an impressive drive up to 7. License actually managed to catch up to him. Good job by License. These two finishing right next to each other after having a fantastic battle as well. Kuthan, pretty consistent, just been around this place. Daly getting a little bit of a last lap Lando there, jumping up to 9th. Shout out to Daly. Another Welsh boy. And then if we jump down the order slightly towards the back, we can find Ware, the winner of our GT4 field. The only GT4 field on, it looks like 3 laps down or 2 laps down. The only 2 laps down. The only GT4 who managed to finish 2 laps down. Every other GT4 was lapped an extra time. Having a little bit of a nudge there with a back marker. He was pretty consistent just up there, and then just right at the end, absolutely, right at the pit stops, absolutely just came through. Brenning doing a really good job. Had an awful pit stop. I think he probably had his brakes changed. Took ages and he lost quite a few positions. Came out real far back and then had trouble with traffic. Martins, who another just consistent guy coming out there. Shax, I thought, was going to be the guy in this position. Seeing Martin's name sort of took me off guard. It looks like Shax made a mistake further into the race. And Andrews, I want to talk about Andrews quickly before we end this, because poor Andrews had been fighting for the lead of GT4, was leading after the pit stops when Brenning had a torrid time. He was right ahead. He was ahead of Ware. Him and Ware were in first and second. But coming out of the pits, he managed to get himself a speeding in the pit lane time penalty.